Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing thrillers that I want to read. I think I have 10 books on this list, so we're just going to go through them pretty quickly. I apologize for my voice if it comes off pretty bad. I'm still getting over this cold that I've had for like a week. I guess it's a cold. Could be a sinus infection. I have no idea. I just know it's annoying and it's still there, but we're going to continue on anyways. So the first book on this list, and these aren't in like a top 10 ranking order, they're just in an order of how I found them on my list of books to read. So, the first one is The Good Samaritan by John Mars. In this one, we have this girl named Laura who hates the life. Like, she hates life. And she hates the world. And she works at a suicide hotline, it sounds like. And what happens is that when people call in to discuss feeling suicidal, she talks them into doing it. And we follow this guy. I don't know if we're going to follow him, but he's in the blurb, so I imagine we'll follow him. But so his wife ends up following through with it. And so now he is investigating and trying to figure out what happened. And Laura is going to go to whatever lengths she has to in order to protect her secret and get away with murder. So that sounds super interesting. And the fact that somebody would take people who are so vulnerable like that and do that, like, that is ridiculous. But it sounds the right kind of demented for my taste. So I cannot wait to read this. The next one is also by John Mars, and it is called You Killed Me First. Okay, so following on this one, we've got 3 women who live on the same street. And apparently they have lies and secrets from each other. And it doesn't sound like they're actually friends, kind of just like a facade. And everything kind of comes to a head when there's this bonfire. And one of these women ends up in the middle of this bonfire. We don't know who. We don't know why. We don't know how we got here. But it sounds crazy. Like, what in the world could possibly go on that we end up barbecuing somebody? Like, excuse me, what are we doing? So, cannot wait to read this. This next one is probably the one I want to read the most. This is The Next Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. I read The Last Mrs. Parrish in the summer, I think. It wasn't too long ago. And it was the best time ever. I love that book so much. That had so many good twists. And this will be the companion novel. I guess second book is actually a better description. But so, the second one. Slight spoilers for the first one. Maybe skip ahead. But so Amber is living her own life now after the events that she created, and her husband is now getting released from prison, and that is going to cause a damper in her plans because she's been high and mighty and reigning supreme in the community and just doing whatever she wants, and he's a bit psycho, and so now he's being released, and now he's going to come home, and she's going to have to deal with that. Meanwhile, Daphne, who had promised to never return to that town again because of everything that happened, she has to go back to town for the summer because one of her daughters runs away because she wants to see her dad. Understandable. And so mom agrees to stay in town for a little bit so that the kid can see her dad. Sorry if I now look like I've been crying. I just had a coughing fit from this cold, so pardon. We will continue on. But so Daphne, I guess something happened in her past, and whoever was from her past is now come back. And Daphne, Amber, and the husband now have to like join together to deal with whatever is coming from the past. I have no idea what kind of thing would have to pop up in order for Daphne to work with these people. Like, I could not imagine. Like, it has to be really bad in order for Daphne to work with him because they're crazy. Like, crazy, crazy. And so I imagine that there's going to be so many really good twists because that first book was all kinds of twisty, and I just had the best time. And so Hopefully, Liv Constantine can do it again. The next book on this list is The Perfect Ruin by Shonora Williams. Okay, so I want to read this one because it reminds me so much of The Last Mrs. Parrish. So we were following this girl, Ivy, and she had a traumatic childhood, I guess. She had a lot of things that were taken away from her as a kid. She discovers the person responsible for all of the tragedy in her life. So she decides to get revenge. And her way of getting revenge is to infiltrate this woman's life and become her friend and get to know her husband and all kinds of things. And then I'm guessing she's going to turn on her or steal it all away from her. I am super interested to see how this one plays out versus The Last Mrs. Parrish because the plot sounds super similar. And I really hope that it's good versus being like, ugh, you just copied everything that Liv Constantine did. And honestly, I don't even know which book came out first, but I read Liv Constantine's first, so in my head, it's the first one. This one is The Wrong Family by Taryn Fisher. I loved The Wives by Taryn Fisher, so I cannot wait to read more by Taryn Fisher. I think she's fantastic, and I really, really hope that this one's good because it sounds so interesting. So we are following Juno, and Juno is a retired therapist, and I don't know exactly how it all is going to play out, but she believes that this family has the perfect family. Like perfect marriage, perfect son, perfect house, perfect jobs, the whole 9 yards. Well, she starts to overhear things and starts to learn that they aren't so perfect. Well, she decides that she's going to get involved with whatever situation is. How she gets involved, I have no idea. But it turns out that she also has a secret that she's hiding, and I have no idea how it all is going to play out. But Taryn Fisher does a fantastic job with her twist, so it's probably going to be really good. The next book on this list is Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. At least I think that's how you say it. This one we are following Camilla, and Camilla has been on maternity leave, and now that she is off maternity leave, she is dropping her child off at daycare for the first time. And she finds out that her husband is holding this place hostage. She has no idea what's happening. All she knows is what he wrote on a note that he left her that morning. And us as the reader don't know what the note says. But I imagine it's pretty damning. And the police are going to question her, and she's got to decide what all she's going to tell them. I am so interested in this. I think it'll be super interesting to see how it would play out and see how much she actually knows. She may end up knowing more than we are going to give her credit for. Because, she actually will know stuff. But, it may be interesting if she doesn't know anything and then it's all just a big surprise. Either way, I'm super interested. The next one on this list is Don't Believe It by Charlie Donnelly. So in this one, we have this girl named Grace, and she has been charged with murdering her boyfriend. She's been in prison, and in order to try and clear her name, she hires this documentary maker. Why she hires a documentary maker, I don't know. But so she hires Sydney, and Sydney is going to look into the research and talk to people and just really dig into it and create this documentary. Apparently, things get kind of wild. Sydney uncovers a lot of things, and now Sydney's life is in danger. So, who knows what all is going to be uncovered? But I think this is super fascinating, simply for the fact that, like, did she or did she not kill him? And like, what happened that the police sort of screwed it up? Either way, like, I don't know. I like this kind of police murder mystery thing. I don't know that I really like police investigative ones, which is stupid because I love Criminal Minds. I don't know. Maybe I just need to try it. But anyways, I'm super excited for this one. This next one has probably been on this list the longest, but that doesn't mean that I'm any less interested. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But this is The One by John Mars. This one we are following a story of how you can figure out your one true partner. And the premise is like if you're a cop and your one true partner is a criminal, or if you find out that your partner died, like all those kinds of things. And so the way that it works is you take a DNA test and they're able to match you with your soulmate, basically. Basically, like who your DNA is paired with, which is a really interesting idea. And it also begs the question of, does the DNA, is that better than like finding someone you're compatible with and actually like making it work? Or how's it different from soulmates? So I wonder if they're going to dive into all of those things. And I don't know why it's so intriguing, but I think maybe because I really love like people finding like their person and then it not being what you actually wanted, but it actually being like you're genetically matched with. I think that's a really interesting topic. Plus, the one comes super highly recommended from a lot of people who read thrillers. So, definitely highly recommended. This next one is The Echo Man by Sam Holland. This one has also been on this list a long time, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to read it because I really do. It's just getting to it. But so we are following these two detectives and they are trying to figure out what's happening with this serial killer because the serial killer is killing people in different ways. Like they are mimicking other serial killers. So the detectives are pretty confused on if it's one killer, if it's lots of killers, if it's even connected. And so they're having to figure all that out. Meanwhile, we're following this girl, Jessica, and she's on the run because they're trying to charge her for killing her husband in a fire or something. She learns that her case is connected to these copycat cases. So I think that'll be pretty interesting, trying to see how it's connected and why her and what's happening. Like, why, what is the motive behind the real case? And I love motives, love motives. I think that's why I like Criminal Minds so much because I love understanding like the psychology behind things. So that may be part of why I like thrillers. Who knows? And then the last one on this list is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. The blurb on this one reminds me of that thriller that I listened to this year, The Push. That's what it was. It reminds me of that one. So we were following this couple. They decide that they want to adopt a child. Well, one of them has more of a connection with the child than the other, Christopher, which is exactly like it was in The Push. The dad had a better connection with the kid than the mother did. The child acts out against the mother, which is exactly what happened in The Push. The mother is drowning under all the pressure, and the husband refuses to see what's happening. So it's super similar to The Push, but I'm hoping I'm going to like this better. I don't, I just didn't like The Push, but I really, really hope I like this one more, which is why I'm giving it a shot. I don't want to write it off just because the plot is similar and I didn't like that story. Here's hoping that I like this one. What about you? Have you read any of these thrillers? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.